Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm the Lloyd, and I'm here to help you simplify your life and your smart home with a focus on Apple Homekit. Smart switches are an economical way to make lights smart since you don't have to purchase individual smart bulbs. Today, I'm excited to tell you what I think of the Meross Smart Wi-Fi light switch, one of the most affordable switches on the market, and guess what? You don't need a manufacturer hub. If you've been thinking of adding some smart switches to your home, Meross has many options to choose from. I installed my first Meross switch last March, and I'll link a video I did where I compared 3 light switches: Lutron Caseta at the high end, Wemo in the middle, and Meross as the most budget-friendly option. When it comes to smart switches, Lutron Caseta has set the bar high with regards to their nearly perfect reliability. I'm not gonna lie, I love Lutron Caseta. Though not everyone will find $70 Canadian on a single switch to be affordable, not to mention the Lutron Caseta hub, which is also required, and that'll set you back an additional $100. To be clear, I'm not knocking Lutron Caseta, I just can't help but think there has to be more reasonably priced options that still deliver good quality and reliability. When I first installed the switch, I was impressed. I honestly wasn't expecting much considering this cost nearly 1/3 of the price of Lutron Caseta. But I thought it looked nice, and in fact, it looks closer to traditional paddle switches than many other smart switches out there. But most importantly, I actually found that it was fast and reliable. I put this to the test every day for almost a year, and my opinion hasn't changed. It continues to respond quickly and consistently. Not something I can say for my Wemo switch, which I've recently ditched. It also had this annoying LED indicator light that couldn't be turned off. Spoiler alert, Meross has an option in their app to dim or even turn off the LED indicator light, which is perfect for a bedroom. In fairness to Wemo, they've recently released a thread-enabled switch, which I've heard some good feedback on, though it's not available in Canada yet, and it costs $50 US. I'm really excited to test out the Meross dimmer switch with remote. I've never tried a dimmable Meross switch, so I'm anxious to see if this works as well as my existing on-off switch. Let's jump into a breakdown of the different options and costs so you can figure out which one is best for you. The one I installed last year was a single pole on-off switch, and it cost $27.99, though currently on sale for $22.99. Seriously, you could buy 3 of these things for the cost of 1 Lutron Caseta. This one is a single pole switch and currently sells for $45.99, currently on sale for $35.99. Though since there's a remote, you could install this on a single pole switch to mimic a 3-way switch. If you're looking for a 3 or 4-way switch, Meross has options available for both on-off and dimmable switches. If you're wondering what 3 and 4-way switches are, this is when you have 2+ light switches that control a light circuit. So common examples would include in a stairwell, so you can have lights at the top and bottom, or along a hallway with 2 switches on either end. My kids like this because they can avoid that terrifying sprint to the other end of the hall, in the dark, in the middle of the night. When it's a single light switch, that's called a single pole, and you would think that 2 light switches would then be called a 2-way switch, but nope, that's a 3-way switch. Meross offers multi-packs that can save you even more money. And in addition to working with Apple HomeKit, these switches also work with Amazon Alexa and Google Home. Meross does sell switches that only work with Alexa and Google, and they're slightly cheaper, so make sure that you buy the HomeKit version. I wonder how many people have purchased the non-HomeKit version only to be disappointed when they try to install it and realize, not gonna work. Of course, I will have affiliate links in the description if you want to pick up one of these switches. I'm honestly not sure how long the sale is gonna last, so check it out soon. One thing to note with all Meross switches is that a neutral wire is required. A neutral wire delivers current back to the circuit, and it's pretty standard in houses built after the 1980s. A neutral wire is typically a grouping of white wires twisted and capped together. Once I install the switch, I'll show you what to look for. If you don't have a neutral wire, these switches won't work for you, though there are other switches that you can buy that don't require a neutral wire from companies such as Lutron Caseta and Akara. These switches connect using the 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi band, which means they have good range and they respond quickly. You will want to make sure that you have strong Wi-Fi signal where you're installing the switch. The other advantage of Wi-Fi is that it doesn't require a manufacturer's hub to work. This saves you money and doesn't waste space. Personally, I've been loving Thread since it has many of the advantages of Wi-Fi while often being more reliable. Though I've been impressed with the reliability of other Meross products that I've used, and for the price, it's an easy compromise. Thread is amazing, the Wi-Fi still has a place in my smart home. I'll talk more about reliability specific to this new light switch towards the end of the video. So let's get this installed. Here's what you get in the box. Pretty standard for the most part, but you do of course get the remote, which uses a CR2032 battery, and you get two faceplates, one for the switch and one for the remote. These are of course optional depending on how you want to set this up. I'm going to install this in my ensuite bathroom, which is one of my last remaining standard switches. This switch controls the pot light above my shower. The pot light is dimmable, but until now, I've only had the ability to turn it on or off, so I'm pretty excited to finally make this smart and dimmable. Wiring these switches is pretty straightforward, but I will say that not all houses are wired the same, and if you're not comfortable, then you may want to get help from someone who is, or hire an electrician. Meross makes the installation really easy by providing step-by-step instructions for changing out the existing switch. The instructions are graphical, and if you follow each step, then it's pretty hard to go wrong. Once you select the switch that you'll be installing, you'll be asked to confirm that you have a strong Wi-Fi signal in the location where you'll be placing the new switch. You'll then be shown the tools that you need for installation. I only ended up using a slotted and Phillips screwdriver. Then make sure to flip your breaker to cut the power to the switch. This of course is a very important step. Start by removing the existing faceplate, then you can pull out the old switch and disconnect the wiring. If you have a voltage tester, then you can check to be positive that there's no power to the switch. These boxes tend to be very tight, especially when you have multiple smart switches which take up more space than traditional switches. Because of this, I had to remove my middle switch in order to have enough room to connect all the wires. It's also a good idea to take a photo of the wiring in case there's ever an issue and you need help changing it back. Meross includes some stickers so you can label your wiring, which is handy. This is an optional step, but could make things easier as you connect the new switch, or even if you replace the switch in the future. Next, you'll just need to match up the wires. Here's the neutral wire I was talking about earlier. It's white, and since this is a 3-gang box, it's pretty thick. Next, it's time to screw the switches into the wall. Since I have 3 smart switches, this was by far the most challenging part of the installation. This has nothing to do with Meross. All smart switches take up so much room. It's a little bit like Tetris as you look for gaps to push wires into the wall so all of the switches will fit. Once that's done though, you can turn the power back on and screw the faceplate on. Now you're ready to connect the switch to Wi-Fi and get it into HomeKit. After the power is turned back on, the switch should be flashing amber and green. You'll then be asked to confirm this, then select HomeKit version. Then add to HomeKit. I did find it a little unusual that there was no HomeKit code in the box as you would expect. Actually, I had to unscrew the faceplate I had just installed in order to reveal the HomeKit code. And since there wasn't a QR code, I had to manually type it in. It's not a big deal, but I just found it a little unusual. Once it's added to HomeKit, it's ready to be integrated into your scenes and automations. But wait, what about the remote? Setting up the remote is even easier since you're really just pairing it to the wired switch. You need to press and hold the up and down buttons on the switch until the indicator light starts blinking. Then you'll have to press the up and down button on the remote, and that's it. You can imagine how useful this is to have a remote to control your lights. You can put this remote in so many locations, by your desk or couch or side table, and this remote also fits into a decor wall plate, meaning you can place the switch anywhere and it'll look like you have an actual light switch installed. Perhaps there's somewhere where you always wish that you had a light switch, but you never wanted to pay the money for an electrician to do the rewiring. Well, this is a great solution for that. Of course, you'll also be able to use Siri or control the switch from the Meross app. The remote just makes controlling your lights even easier. There's an adhesive that comes in the box as well as 2 faceplates. Now I didn't need a faceplate for the switch because I was installing this in a 3-gang switch, so I used my existing faceplate. But since this is for my shower, I thought it'd be pretty cool to have it close by so I can have easy access to adjust the lights. Of course, this isn't waterproof, so I've installed this outside my shower door, and since it's just a battery-operated remote, there isn't the same risk as there would be if there was a wired switch here, which I'm certain would be against most building codes. I've had this light switch installed for a couple of weeks now and I use it daily, and so far the results have been excellent. It's worked every time. I haven't had any no response errors, and it's always fast to respond. There's a compatibility test that you can run from the Meross app, which is a helpful feature. Since some brands of lights can be unstable at low light levels, Meross can solve this by testing to make sure your lights are stable when at minimum and maximum brightness. The brightness on my shower is at 100%, and I've adjusted the minimum to 15% since the light wouldn't turn on lower than this amount. To turn the lights on, you need to press the bottom of the switch. With some switches, you can keep increasing the brightness from an off state, so wanting to mention that. You also can't change the brightness by holding the buttons. Instead, you tap repeatedly until you've reached your desired light level. When the light is turned on, it will turn on to the previous brightness level as opposed to coming on at 100%. This could be helpful if you like to keep your lights at a certain light level. The buttons are quite clicky, though it's not something I mind since the feedback helps to let you know that you've actually pressed the buttons correctly. I've also created a shower scene to turn my shower lights on. It also adjusts the main lights in my bathroom to a comfortable level, turns on my exhaust fan, and plays some good shower tunes on my HomePod Mini. You'll notice I use this Mission battery base to power my HomePod Mini so I can take it anywhere and not fuss with finding an outlet, which is limited in my ensuite other than by the sinks. While I prefer the aesthetic of a Balolo stand like this, I appreciate the flexibility and functionality that the Mission battery base offers. The Meross switch really rounds out my scenes and automations. I also love that if I need to turn the lights up or down, I can simply use the remote. For the times when I'm not running my shower scene, I've also created an automation that turns the bathroom exhaust fan on when my shower lights turn on. This helps to ensure that I don't forget to turn my fan on. Even if I decide I don't want my shower lights on, I can turn it on for just a few seconds as my fan turns on, then turn the light right back off. It's pretty cool. The Meross dimmer with remote has definitely made my home smarter and without breaking the bank. Let me ask you, how would you use the remote control? Would you pop a cover on and stick it to the wall like I did? Or would you keep it portable so you can control lights from multiple locations? Drop me a note in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for sticking with me until the very end. That's it for this week. Don't forget to check out the affiliate links in the description, which helps to support the channel at no additional cost to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.